Hello gamers, we are back on a fresh rogue, Blood Elf, mind you, Blood Elf rogue, or Blood Elf. Apparently the starting zone is undead, Crystal Glades, which makes sense since we are not in TBC yet, but you get some basic gear, right? Let's analyze the... First off, it's important, let's check what abilities they have. For example, you maybe noticed it already, Fan of Knives at level 36. That's important because, if I'm not mistaken, Fan of Knives is like level 70-ish ability on the Wrath of the Lich King. Shiv, I'm not sure. What level was it? I'm not a rogue specialist, I don't play rogues like ever. You also get Tricks of Trade and Cloak of Shadows at level 60. Those are very important abilities to have as a rogue in a kit. If you're playing rogue, you probably know why. Anyways, let us go to artifacts. I mean the mystic enchants, real quick. So, as if I said in previous videos, 6 rare enchant slots, 3 epic ones, 1 legendary, 1 artifact. So, legendary one is for your main build defining quote unquote effect. It can be passive, it can be active. Artifact is usually utility. The epics are very strong effects that either buff what is in the middle, or they have effects that work standalone, so to speak. They work on their own, or they might buff one of your talents, or they might buff one of your abilities. Bunch of different effects. Blues are either your glyphs that you know from Wrath of the Lich King, or effects that unlock one of your talents from other trees. So if you're, for example, sub rogue, right, you can unlock 1 or 2 or 3 even talents from combat or assassination, right? Because in Bronzebeard the level cap is 60, so it's made in a way that at level 60 you would unlock your last ability here, and you wouldn't be able to spec into side trees anymore, right? Okay, with that out of the way, we can begin. First off, 4 artifact abilities, with first one being combat readiness. Enter a state of heightened defensive awareness. Each time you're hit by a spell or ability, you reduce your overall damage taken by 5% for 10 seconds, stacking up to 5 times, lasts 20 seconds, or until not attacked for 10 seconds. So, this is your defensive ability. The thing is, it ramps. So, you kinda need to get hit couple times until the effect is full. And usually when you're playing a game, you need to know, well, you don't exactly know when the damage is coming, right? You don't really know when your enemy is about to pop off on you. So it kind of requires you to be pretty smart and pop this in advance before the actual damage happens. Or if you're surrounded by monsters, then if you pop it, then it's gonna ramp up to full like almost instantly, right? So probably not the strongest ability ever, but useful. Grappling hook. Launch a grappling hook and pull yourself to the target location. Wow, that's a mobility ability. I'm not sure if you can cast it in stealth. I have no idea. You would have to test it yourself. Smoke bomb. Now this one is big. If you know, you know. Smoke bomb, 2 minutes cooldown, makes a thick smoke in 8-yard radius, and enables enemies are unable to target into or out of the smoke cloud. What does that mean, Aurora? Well, let's say if your healer stands behind a pillar, right? And he tries to line of sight your abilities, right? But he still keeps the line of sight of your DPS player, right? That's sitting on your ass. You can pop a smoke bump, and now the healer has no choice. He has to walk into that smoke bump, otherwise his DPS will die because there's no healing coming in. Another situation. Let's say you have a tank and he pulls a bunch of monsters, but suddenly you're surrounded by casters all over the place. There's caster on one side of the room, another caster on the other side of the room, and the tank has no way of line of sighting those casters, so they come to you. What do? You pop smoke bump. Now those casters, they cannot target the tank or anyone really that stands inside of the bump. While you're working on the pack inside, the casters have to physically come to you, otherwise they cannot target you. Right? It's like you're standing behind a wall. So, extremely versatile spell. Good for PvP. Probably even broken for PvP, from my experience. What I've played a little bit of PvP in retail. Definitely gonna break some pools in Bronzebeard on Mythic Plus or even in raids. I hope it doesn't work on raid bosses, because that would be kind of weird. But we'll see. Recuperate. I believe this ability was baseline for rogues in Wrath of the Lich King. I think, I'm not sure, but maybe it was just higher level. Well, it heals you over time. You can spend combo points to get a buff that heals you over time. Pretty boring, honestly. It definitely helps recovery, but compared to the other options, I would probably never pick this. Right? Now, Crimson Tempest, first legendary ability. Finishing move that slashes at the flesh of all enemies within 8 yards, dealing physical damage and causing them to bleed per combo point. If you ever played Feral on retail, this is quite literally the same thing as what's it called? Predator's Wrath? That finisher? Holy moly, I use it so much. Primal Wrath. It hits every monster for a little bit of physical damage instantly, and then applies a heavy bleed. And the cool part about it is that dots on multiple targets are not prone to damage reductions. So, if you're aware, maybe not, most AoE abilities in game, after a certain point, after like 20 targets, they are prone to diminishing returns. For every additional targets hit, they will deal less damage. This is to prevent them from dealing absurd amount of damage compared to the other things. So the thing is, with dot damage, every single target takes individual ticks of damage that are not prone to that reduction. So if you have 50 targets hit by Crimson Tempest, each one of them will take 119 bleed damage over 8 seconds. It's not gonna be like 30 as regular AoE spell would do. Right? So that's important to know. If Feral Druid had ability like this, it would be broken. Straight up. Assassination Mastery, Combat Mastery, Subtlety Mastery. The Mastery legendary abilities are abilities that just make you a little bit better. It's a kind of boring effect, but you can equip it if you're not like really comfortable playing your spec yet, you're learning still, you can use those and they will make you better a bit. If you want to really min-max and push your class to maximum of abilities, then you probably have to use something else. But those are like easy, simple bonuses that you can equip, right? So Assassination gets a little bit more crit chance with poisons, more damage with envenom. Combat gets ARP, attack penetration, which I should probably comment on, because on Bronzebeard, ARP is changed. It's more valuable early, unlike on Wrath of the Lich King, where ARP only is relevant after like Ulduar gear, right? You need a specific breakpoint of ARP until it gets good. So keep your eyes peeled on ARP. It might be very good. I don't know exactly how good it is right now, but probably observe discords and see what smart people come up with math-wise. Try it out. Try gearing for ARP and see how your damage changes. And subtlety increases damage done by ambush, backstab, hemorrhage, and finishing move by 6%. Very strong bonus, 6% for basically everything. Right? Very simple. Roll the bones. Now this is a classic. If you played BFA, this is the weird spell ability. It's a finishing move, so you make your combo points, right? And depending on amount of combo points, you get a buff for up to 30 seconds. The combo points only changes the duration of the buff, and then randomly you get from 1 up to 5 different buffs. The buffs can be pretty powerful. They're like, I don't have an exact list of them right now, but basically if you get 5 of them, it's a very small chance, but then you pop off. Then you can do massive damage. Normally you will get like from 1 to 3. 1 to 3 buffs. One of them is like melee haste, one of his energy recovery, one of them is like damage dealt, I believe. So if you get all 5 of them, you have massive burst damage window. But there's a problem. It's RNG. It's literally gambling. You're gambling for good DPS. Some people like it, some people hate it, but it's definitely one of the more interesting playstyles, right? If you love gambling, this is for you. Kingsbane. This is, I believe, artifact ability from Legion expansion. What it does is release a level poison from your weapons and inject it into your target, dealing nature damage instantly and 53 additional damage over 12 seconds. Each time you apply a deadly instant or wound poison to a target affected by your Kingsbane, its damage increases by 10% and awards 2 combo points. So, I don't know a lot about Rogue, but if I'm not mistaken, there is a couple abilities and effects that make you able to apply poisons quicker than normal. So you press the button and try to quickly apply as much poisons as possible on the target, and that will increase the Kingsbane damage output by a lot. I think that's how it works. I'm not sure though. Festering Wound. Your mutilate critical strikes apply Festering Wound. In addition, your deadly poison can stack up to 8 and your envenom damage is increased by 5% for each stack above 5. Festering Wound increases your nature damage dealt to target by 1%, stacks up to 5 times and lasts 10 seconds. Okay. So, this increases the cap of these deadly poisons basically, and makes your envenom hit even harder. On top of that, it also increases your nature damage passively by up to 5%. It's double dipping a bit. Probably good if you're mutilate spec. I'm not sure how mutilate it does right now. You would have to consult some good rogue player. Chasing the Rush. Your finishing moves have 4% per combo point spent to grant you 20% energy regeneration and 20% attack speed for 10 seconds. So, let's say you spend 5 combo points, that's 20% chance to get a pretty large buff of energy regen and attack speed. Is it good to warrant using though? I'm not sure. Basically 20% haste, right? For 10 seconds. 20% chance is pretty low, honestly. I would like if it was more higher chance compared to like roll the bones. Hard to say. Sinister Flurry. Your Sinister Strike has 33% chance to trigger additional strike, which deals 75% weapon damage, awards additional combo point, and generates 10 energy. Well, so if you like spamming those Sinister Strikes, probably something for you. Shadow Blades. 1.5 minute cooldown. Draws upon surrounding shadows to empower your weapons, causing your direct damaging melee combo generating abilities to generate additional combo point, and deal 15% additional damage as shadow for 15 seconds, and does not break stealth. So you can pop it from stealth and then backstab somebody for massive damage. And not only you're gonna generate more combo points, twice as much combo points, it's like almost like Shadowlands Berserk for cat. Interesting. Assuaging Shadows. Assuaging. I'm not sure what kind of word that is. I've never seen that word. I would have to check the dictionary. Using Shadowlands causes a shadow eruption, slowing nearby enemies by 70% for 2 seconds and applying 3 shadow marks. Using Ambush on a marked enemy allows you to ignore the cooldown of Shadow Step for 2 seconds and increases your damage done by 6 for 10 seconds. Using Shadow Step grants you 20 energy. Wow. Okay, so basically, you pop Shadowlands first. They have 3 shadow marks each, or 1 per. I'm not sure. If they have 3 per each, then that's pretty broken. But if it's just 3 targets get marked, then you can Shadow Step again and again. And for each time you use Shadow Step, you regenerate energy. So basically you can jump between people and get energy this way. Pretty funny. Probably gonna be pretty clunky as well to play, but definitely strong. Hazardous Escape. Your sprint leaves behind a trail of poison that deals 1 nature damage every second to nearby enemies. This damage reduces the cooldown of sprint by 2 seconds, but the cooldown can only be reduced once every second. So, if you remember Diablo 2, there was this Inferno ability that leaves a trail of fire behind you. This is basically it. You run with sprint and deal poison damage to everything in your path. Very funny. I wonder what's the... I wonder if the damage is going to be good enough to warrant using it. Murder Rush. Killing an opponent that yields experience while sprint is active refreshes the duration and increases the damage of your next direct damage ability by 10%. Okay. Pretty situational stuff. Because not only you need to have sprint active, but you also need to kill somebody during the sprint. I'm not sure if I would ever use this, but I guess it's something. Actually, good use case for this might be farming like low-level dungeons. You know? If you just run through like a low-level dungeon, right? Basically you 2-tap any monster, really. But it also requires you to have like a monster that yields experience. I'm not sure if it works if the monsters are gray. Do you even get XP? I don't think you do. Maybe. Shattering Execution. Your Eviscerate and Dispatch have 20% chance per combo point to shatter your target's armor, allowing your attacks to ignore 10% of its armor for 30 seconds, stacking up to 3 times. Now that is a lot of armor penetration. 30% is a lot. Eviscerate is the finishing move, right? Eviscerate? Yeah. You're basically always eviscerating at 5 combo points, right? So it's 100% chance to hit. Man, that's a lot. I would like that on my Pharaoh whenever I bite. That might make combat pretty good, no? 30% of ARPen is a lot, like really. I believe they have also the expose weakness. Expose armor. 20% here. Damn. 20 here. So basically with the combat rogue you're sitting at 50% ARPen by baseline. That is a lot. Remorseless attacks increases the critical strike chance of ability by 100% and also reduces its energy cost by 50%. I don't remember what is remorseless attacks. Oh, this is also tied to killing somebody. Definitely some use it's gonna be, but how good, I'm not sure. Energy Surge. Using Gouge on a monster doubles your energy regeneration while the Gouge lasts. In addition, your next direct damage ability deals 20% increased damage on monster affected by your Gouge. Gouge is the disorient, right? Yeah, it's the incap. Pretty cool. If you use it on like a monster, like a caster that stands on the side, and then you can benefit from that energy regeneration, spam 10 of knives on the side without hitting that one monster. What's the cooldown on Gouge? 10 seconds. Okay. It lasts up to 5.5 seconds. Interesting. Sinister Finisher. Reduces the cost of your next eviscerate by 10 and makes it hit additional nearby target for 15% of the damage dealt. Stacks up to 3. Wait, that means if you Sinister Strike 3 times, your next eviscerate is not gonna be 30% cheaper, 30 energy cheaper, but it's also gonna hit for 45% damage to multiple targets, or just additional one target. I think it's gonna be additional for 45, but I'm not sure. You would probably have to test. It sounds pretty good for like passive cleave. Pretty good. Bleeding Edge. You gain 3 energy when you garrote or rupture deal damage. If the target is below 35 health, you gain 6 energy instead. Well, keep your dots up and get energy. Simple, right? Methodical approach. Dealing damage with ambush reduces the energy cost of your next eviscerate by 10 and causes it to increase the duration of rupture by 8 seconds. Well, so if you open on somebody with ambush and then immediately rupture, the rupture is gonna last forever. Pretty nice. Deal 10% additional damage with poisons to bleeding targets. In addition, the energy cost of envenom is reduced by 5. Okay. Pretty solid bonus if you're relying on poisons to deal damage. Note that this says bleeding targets, not targets you have bled. So let's say you have a feral druid let's say you have a arms warrior in your party. Let's say you have an offhand weapon that deals some bleed damage proc. It will be pretty free to use, right? Very easy condition to fulfill. Repartee. Repartee? I think that's the word. Reduces the cooldown of Feint by 4 seconds, and Feint enables the use of Riposte for 6 seconds. Nice. Riposte has 20% increased critical strike chance when used this way. Okay, so I think that's combat rogue abilities. They are a little bit more defensive. But I'm not sure how good they are in PvE. Fatal counter increases damage of riposte by 10%, and killing opponent allows one use of riposte for 10 seconds. Alright. Phantom stab. Using ghostly strike increases the damage of her next backstab by 10% and allows it to be used without being behind the target. Nice. Using backstab reduces the cooldown of ghostly strike by 2 seconds. Isn't backstab just like shred for feral? Yes, it is. Well, the ability to hit somebody without being behind the target is not that big of a deal, considering you can bind your backstab to mouse wheel and just spam it. So there's tricks to it, but cooldown of ghostly strike, I would personally not use it, but I'm sure there's some use for it. Blood-soaked mutilation. Mutilate damage is increased by 6% for every active bleed effect that you have applied to the target. And Crimson Tempest has 20% chance per combo point to allow Garrote to be used outside of stealth. When used this way, Garrote does not trigger its silence effect. Now, that's cool. I like this. I like this. Crimson Tempest is this ability. Let's say you have a pack of monsters, you use 5 combo points Crimson Tempest to deal massive bleeding damage. And then you can instantly follow with Garrote outside of stealth. And you can apply multiple targets with Garrote. Pretty cool. Poison Bomb. Throw a poison bomb that unleashes deadly fumes, immediately applying a stack of deadly poison and additional stack to nearby enemies every 2 seconds for 10 seconds. And it has 15-second cooldown. So, to remember this, stacked with poison bomb and your auto attacks, you have a lot of stacks. Very quickly. I think that's the combo. I'm not sure. Just I'm theory crafting out of my ass. Tell me what do you think. Shadow of Death. Using ambush on a target affected by a rupture triggers additional 15% shadow damage at 10-yard radius around the target. Well, more cleave from ambushing. 10-yard is pretty big. 10-yard will be like this big in the room. Blade Vortex. Your damaging melee finishing moves have 20% chance per combo point to reduce cooldown on Blade Flurry by 5 seconds. Okay. And while Blade Flurry is active, to also create a Blade Vortex. Damaging cast of Fan of Knives grants 1 combo point while Blade Flurry is active. Okay. And Blade Vortex itself deals physical damage to nearby enemies every second for 3 seconds. And when triggered, increases duration of Blade Flurry by 3 seconds. Holy shit, this is a loaded enchant. Okay, so spending finishing moves reduces cooldown of the Blade Flurry, right? Your cleave ability. Cleave cooldown. And whenever you have Blade Flurry active, you get Blade Vortex, which deals AoE damage. And every time you get it, so every time you use finishing move in Blade Flurry, you also not only extend the Blade Flurry, you also get Blade Vortex, which deals more AoE damage. This one is crazy. I wonder what's the actual damage on it, but and also your Fan of Knives gets combo points while Blade Flurry active. This should be quite insane damage in AoE for combat rogues. Interesting. Rush of Blood. Using Hemorrhage twice in a row grants you Rush of Blood. Ooh, your next ambush can be cast outside of stealth and has no positional requirement versus monsters. Well, well, well. So if you couple it with this, right? Hemorrhage twice in a row, then you can ambush. Hemorrhage twice in a row, then you can ambush. Very nice. Dispatch. This is, I think, ability backported from BFA when they reworked Combat Rogue. Or was it Legion? I think it was Legion, actually. It deals instant damage, pretty heavy instant damage. And on top of that, if the target is low, what if, oh okay, if your target is low, the dispatch does not consume combo points, or is it always? I'm not sure actually. And your eviscerate or envenom deal increased damage. Alright, sounds good. Natural energy. While envenom is active, the energy cost of your mutilate is reduced by 7. Okay, so you can spam those mutilates. Venomous Edge. Dealing damage with envenom increases the critical strike chance of your combo point, generating abilities by 3%, stacks up to 3 times and lasts for 15 seconds. In addition, using Kingsbane triggers overkill. Alright. So 9% crit, lasting 15 seconds, and gives you overkill after Kingsbane. And Venom is... okay, it's a spender. Finishing move. Sounds good. That's a lot of crit. It's gonna be easy to keep up. Adrenaline Junkie. Your finishing moves have 20% chance per combo point to reduce cooldown of Adrenaline Rush by 12 seconds. In addition, Adrenaline Rush does not trigger a global cooldown. Okay. So basically every time you finishing move at max, you reduce by 12 seconds. Pretty comfy. Assassin Rush. Backstab reduces cooldown of Adrenaline Rush by 2.5 seconds. Okay, so another... you're gonna have Adrenaline Rush very often. Combat Proficiency increases the chance to trigger the combat potency talents by 50%. I don't remember what combat potency is. Ah, okay. So it's a small proc that give you back energy when you hit with offhand. And it's 50% more. That's a lot. That's gonna be like almost every single offhand hit is gonna give you energy back, right? That's a lot of energy. Your Shiv has 8-second cooldown, and dealing damage with Shiv grants you Prison Tactics. Increases attack speed by 15%, extends the duration of Adrenaline Rush by 4 seconds. Okay. Massacre. Killing Spree also deals 70% weapon damage to nearby enemies. Okay. And applies Massacre to all targets hit. Dealing damage with Sinister Strike reduces cooldown of Killing Spree by 1. Damage done to the target from the rogue is increased by 2%, stacks up to 5 times less for 20 seconds. So, not only you're gonna deal, when you press Killing Spree, I believe it's that ability that makes you teleport between targets, right? Not only you're gonna deal heavy single target damage, you're also gonna deal cleave on top of it. Almost like Blade Storm in a sense. Very good. Makes it a very powerful button. What's the cooldown on Killing Spree? 2 minutes. Alright, sounds very good. Wailed Wire. While Shadow Dance is active, your Garrett hits 4 nearby targets. What the hell? 4? How is this? Can you just combo this together with the other one? Does that not mean like every Crimson Tempest you're gonna be able to use Garrett that hits 5 targets? Oh no, you need Shadow Dance for that. Okay, Shadow Dance is... Oh no, I'm wrong. Okay, so Shadow Dance enables you Garrett anyway. But still pretty nice cooldown. Pop this. Throw 2 Garrots. And like 8 targets are gonna be Garroted. Pretty nice. There's also a silence, I believe. Right? That's massive. Backstab and Hemorrhage reduces the cooldown of Shadow Dance by 1 second. Well, there's your combo. You're gonna have Shadow Dance very often, and then garroting everything in AoE. Multiple targets at least. Sounds fun. Bloodshed. Using Hunger for Blood increases the damage of your bleeds by 20% for 8 seconds and causes the target to take 30% additional damage from bleed effects for 30 seconds. This effect can only occur once every 20 seconds. In addition, your Hunger for Blood no longer costs energy. Huh, interesting. This says targets to take 30% additional damage from bleed effects, but does this stack with Mangle? Does anyone know? Mangle and Trauma from Arms Warrior. It's hard to say. I do not know. If it does stack with Mangle, that's pretty damn good. If it doesn't, well, usually there is a Mangle or bleed damage increase on the target anyway. Like either Arms Warriors, Bear Druid, Feral Druid, they're all gonna apply that debuff. Either way, we're done with the epic enchants already. It was a pretty interesting read. I would consider playing this combo for sure, the Garrote stuff. I think that's Assassination, right? Assassination spec has Garrote. Yeah. But after that, all of the blue ones are just glyphs that you know from Wrath of the Lich King. So I'm just gonna mouse over them quickly. You can pause the video and read them for yourself. Around the middle, they're gonna be crossover talents. Like I mentioned at the beginning of the video, crossover talents allow you to allocate a couple talents from the other trees. For example, at level 60 you would be here, unlocking your last ability, and then using crossover talents you will be able to allocate a couple of those low tier talents. Right? Which is a little bit more interesting than your Wrath of the Lich King system, because in Wrath of the Lich King, if I was Feral here, for example, Feral Druid, I would be only able to unlock up until here, Omen of Clarity, right? Well, in Bronzebeard, I can grab Omen of Clarity here, and from Balance Tree, I could also grab something here. I'm not that limited by talent points. So keep that in mind. Anyways, here we go. Glyphs. This is almost the last video I'm gonna make. Next up is Mage. I'll go eat something and I'll start doing Mage video right after. That was it. I'm gonna go eat some food real quick and see you in the next video. Hope you enjoyed, hope you learned something. Leave a like if you did, leave a dislike if I wasted your time. See you Friday.